Okay, Justin Peter Griffin.
It's actually just Peter Griffin.
So this is not your birth certificate?
Oh my God, your first name is Justin?
It is? Wow, I never noticed that. Justin Griffin. Huh, I like the sound of that. I'm a Justin. This is awesome. This changes everything.
Peter, it doesn't change a thing. You're still the exact same person.
I beg to differ.
What's up, guys? So this video is kind of considered an add-on to my video, The Anxiety Monster. I kind of want to follow up on everything that's happened. Overall, the experience was pretty traumatic. So I'm gonna have to make some major changes. First of all, here's a recap of what happened. The weeks leading up to my current panic disorder episode was the first time that I realized that I was not able to quit drinking whenever I needed to, because my body had no way of coping with stress on its own. And being that finals weeks were coming up, I didn't really have, time to mess around and try to figure out an alternative treatment or anything like that. So this was a really bad thing. Basically, I was having continual panic attacks, like I said in my last video, and my anxiety medications were not working, and I had no way of coping without alcohol, which were only making my symptoms even worse. I was afraid I may have been having alcohol withdrawal symptoms, so I went to the emergency room, where they scanned my brain, my heart, and did blood work, and told me that everything was just being caused by my own, basically health anxiety. I was eventually sent to a psychiatrist in Shibuya, Tokyo, to get a short-term prescription of an even stronger benzodiazepine than the one that I've been taking so far, so that it could help ease my panic cycle, which I'm also using in case I start having withdrawal symptoms. So basically, I'm quitting at this point to avoid ever having that happen again, especially at a point where I have to be able to perform. But I guess it's really been a long time coming. The confusing thing is that my relationship with alcohol has never truly been negative, or at least entirely negative. Ever since I first came to Japan, I always enjoyed drinking, but it barely ever caused any issues that any other young adult would have been experiencing anyway. It was never by any means healthy, and I did very much fall under the diagnosis of alcohol usage disorder, which is the official diagnosis for alcoholism, through the Veterans Affairs Office, where I'm diagnosed, or where I'm receiving disability as a veteran. My diagnosis is actually panic disorder with alcohol usage disorder. But before any type of diagnosis, I always knew it was a secondary issue to other issues that I couldn't quite identify yet. I had an idea, but I didn't have a diagnosis. And the thing is, I've actually had a lot of great experiences with drinking. I never get hangovers.
I could save time in a bottle. First thing that I'd like to do.
And while I was in the Navy, I never had any type of alcohol-related incident like a lot of my friends did. I've definitely had times where I was abusing alcohol, but those were always preceded by traumatic events, and at the time I didn't actually even know that those events were truly traumatic until I started going to my current therapist. And I was always afraid to be truly honest whenever I went to Navy counselors, because I was afraid I would get kicked out of the Navy. And it's never been like the main cause of an issue in a relationship, apart from a particular chaotic relationship where we were both drinking very heavily, so I can't entirely blame myself for that. And it barely ever affected my job. That's what has made everything so confusing for me.
Just confusion.
And the only thing I've truly worried about over the last couple years until this last weekend was just my health. All in all, alcohol has barely exacerbated my problems, but it's always put me in situations where my problems would come out, such as being in bars. That's not to say that I've ever truly been happy though. It's always confused me when I hear what people say what an alcoholic is. And part of me hoped that my problems really were just that simple, and that quitting alcohol would fix everything. But I knew there was something more to it, because physically, I've never had trouble quitting. And it never forced me to stop doing anything that I enjoyed, because it was the first thing in my adult life that I truly did enjoy. Because by the time I was an adult, I had forgotten everything that had made me happy as a child, because I spent all of my adolescent and teen years either depressed or anxious, and I had separated myself from everything that had ever made me happy when I was younger. But despite my then undiagnosed issues, which I don't want to list out my issues again because if you're a regular viewer of this channel, you already know what they are. But it enabled me to make friends and to travel without experiencing extreme anxiety. But at one point when I was in the Navy, I did in fact go to
Navy rehab.
So I could figure out why I felt so disconnected from people and so, anxious all the time. Or numb, I never really felt happy and I could not find a reason for it. And I was hoping if I went to rehab for alcohol, because I was drinking to an excessive amount at that time, I was hoping that it would be used as the source for finding the gateway to the source of all my actual problems. But all that happened in the Navy's version of rehab is that I got belittled for being immature and being a know-it-all and not opening up about my problems and denying the fact that I had problems in the first place. But let me put this question forward. Do you know how hard it is for a person to express their problems and their emotions when they don't understand their feelings in the first place? At that same time, I had just had my identity stolen by my...
Here I am.
and was dealing with the financial repercussions of believing her lies, and dealing with an ex-girlfriend that was refusing to talk to me for a reason that later turned out to be a new boyfriend. Or actually, I should say another boyfriend, because she got together with him while we were broken up. So instead of finding support, I found nothing more than isolation. And this gave me a further belief that there was nothing wrong with me and everything was situational. That is, however, an important thing to remember about people with any type of substance abuse problem. There is almost always an underlying issue that has not been resolved, and I am a perfect case study for that. The biggest difference between now and every other time in my life is that now I have an awesome counselor that has been able to help me understand my problems and what I need to do to help myself. It's been several months leading up to me now deciding to quit drinking. I had already realized that I had found things that make me happy and that I like doing more than drinking, and that I was really just doing it out of a long-standing habit. It was unfortunate because it was actually making the new things that I enjoyed doing less enjoyable. It was just such an ingrained habit that I thought it must be the only way for me to find a feeling of peace. The thing is, I was 9 years old when I left my hometown, and I was happy. And that was more than a decade before I had my first drink. Therefore, I don't need it to be happy. I finally started to rediscover my childhood, and I'm finally understanding where everything went wrong and who I truly want to be. I'm gonna have to try to figure out what made me happy in the first place, because it's been so long since I actually thought about it. As soon as I left my hometown, I instantly developed compulsive and addictive behaviors, starting first with food and obsessively organizing my bedroom, as well as delving heavily into religion and, my obsession with professional wrestling. And most importantly, the anxiety that I developed that I still have to this day. I have to figure it out. It took me years to find the things in life that I truly enjoy doing, such as DJing, and obviously video editing, playing old school role-playing games, reading, and several other things. Why do I need alcohol? What part in that equation does it play? I've made so many strides in improving my physical and mental health, and I just want to kick this last dirty habit. And I talked to my girlfriend about it too, so now I am absolutely obligated. Just for a little sentimentality though, this is the first time in my life that I'm also not afraid to quit alcohol. I'm just a little nervous because it's been part of my life and pretty much all the happy points in my adult life. But maybe this was just a sign that I need to stop crutching and actually embrace living the life the way that I actually am capable of, and just face the abyss for a while without being afraid. So hopefully this video may help some other people. I'm not entirely sure. It's been pretty self-indulgent, but that's all I really wanted to say with this video. So as always, if you like my video, subscribe. If you like my music, buy it. And if you hate me, tell everybody. Out.
po Nizza. Pizza boy Nizza.